Hello, welcome back to TKP Media Theme Beauty Inside Vietnam. We are pleased to introduce to you Hoi An Ancient Town Nang is one of the top tourist destinations in Vietnam. History of formation and development of Hoi An Ancient Town. Yes, welcome back and accompany TKP Media. Film the beauty inside Vietnam. Together we went to the end of Sun Dong Cave, Quang Binh. Visited Ha Long Bay, Quang Ninh, Bac Ninh Strawberry Pagoda, Hawthorne Pagoda. No. How do you feel through each video about Vietnamese people? Are they friendly? Vietnam's natural scenery is diverse and beautiful. TKP alone feels that everything is wonderful. Come to Vietnam to visit and feel to get the most real feelings. Yesterday is because of the great things in this S-shaped country. TKP once again invites you and your friends to learn together about Hoi An Ancient Town Da Nang, about the history of formation and development of this place. Hoi An was born in the second half of the 16th century. During the La Dynasty, history of the formation and development of Hoi An Ancient Town since 1527. Mac Dang Dung Won the La House, Dong Kin area was under the control of the Mac Dynasty. In 1533, Nguyen Kim on behalf of the La Dynasty gathered soldiers against the Mac Dynasty. After Nguyen Kim died in 1545, his son-in-law Trinh Kim held power. The Nguyen Kim family was overwhelmed. In 1558, Nguyen Kim's second son, Nguyen Hong, along with his family and some soldiers, retreated to entrench in Thuan Hoa area, and from 1570, Nguyen Hong continued to hold power to defend Quang Nam. Together with his son Nguyen Phuc Nguyen, Nguyen Hong built a fortress, tried to develop the economy of Dang Trong, expanded trade with foreign countries, and Hoi An became the busiest international trading port in the East South Asia at that time. In the 17th century, while continuing the war with Lord Trinh in the north, Lord Nguyen constantly explored the south on the lands ruled by Lord Nguyen. There are foreign neighborhoods formed based on a number of laws to protect the commercial activities of foreigners. In 1567, the Ming Court of China abandoned the policy of seclusion, allowing merchant ships to cross the sea to trade with Southeast Asian countries, but still banned the export of some important materials to Japan. This forced the Toyotomi shogunate and the Tokugawa shogunate to allow Indian merchant ships to expand trade relations with Southeast Asia and buy Chinese goods from those countries. Indian ships began to sail from 1604 under the Tokugawa shogunate. By 1635, when the policy of closure was enacted, at least 356 Indian ships had been built. The place where show and boats go the most is the port of Hoi An, within 30 years. 75 show and ships have docked here, compared with 37 ships docked in Dong Kin, an area ruled by Lord Trinh. The Japanese merchants then came to sell bronze, copper coins, iron, household items, and bought back sugar, silk, incense. Thus, in Hoi An, the Japanese have also come and contributed to the prosperity of this place. This can also be found in the vestiges of this place. Until about 1617, the Japanese street in Hoi An was formed and flourished in the early 17th century through Chaya Shinroku's painting of Zhao Kai, a trading nation. You can see the Japanese quarter with 2- and 3-story wooden structures. Dutch Captain Delfthaven recorded in 1651. Hoi An at that time had about 60 Japanese houses along the river. Houses built of stone to avoid fire, located close to each other. But in the following time, due to the seclusion policy of the Tokugawa shogunate, as well as the policies of oppressing the Japanese Catholics of Lord Nguyen, the Japanese quarter in Hoi An gradually faded away, although there are still a small number of Japanese settlers here. The Chinese gradually replaced the Japanese role in trade. Unlike the Chinese knew Hoi An very early. Chinese merchants came to trade because the southern provinces of China needed salt, gold, cinnamon. However, during the pre-Hoi An period, the Chinese only came to trade and then returned, not staying to settle down and set up streets. Right after the Minthan Rebellion occurred in the middle of the 17th century, especially after the fall of the Ming Dynasty, many Chinese migrated to the central part of our country to build many Minhuang Sha communities. In Hoi An, the Chinese came to stay more and replaced the Japanese to take over the business. The port of Hoi An at that time was the place where most foreign goods were concentrated. The neighborhood along the river, known as Dai Duong, spans 3 or 4 miles. The shops on both sides of the street are never free. The residents here are mostly Fujian people, everyone dressed in Ming Dynasty costumes. Many Chinese who came to settle down to trade were married to local women. Besides the Chinese who acquired Vietnamese citizenship, many other Chinese people still retain their Chinese nationality, which Vietnamese often call guests. In 1695, British emissary Thomas Bowyer of the British East India Company came to negotiate with Lord Nguyen about building a settlement in Hoi An. The negotiation was unsuccessful, but it also left a note. This FIFO neighborhood has a road close to the river. There are about 100 houses built close to each other. On both sides of the road, except for about 4 years, the house is Japanese. The rest is entirely Chinese. In the past, the Japanese were the main residents of this neighborhood and were the owners of most of the commercial activities in Hoi An. Now, the main commercial role has passed to the Chinese. Compared to the previous period, it is not crowded, but every year at least 10 to 12 ships from Japan, Guangdong, Siam, Cambodia, Manila, and even Indonesian ships also come to this port. In the 18th century, when the Tay Son Uprising took place in the south, Lord Tring captured Quang Nam Dinh in 1775, and the port town of Hoi An fell into chaos after capturing Hoi An. The Trin army destroyed the houses in the commercial area, leaving only religious buildings. Many important figures of the Nguyen family and rich Chinese merchants migrated to the south, brought their wealth and settled in Saigon, Cholon, leaving a ruined and dilapidated Hoi An. In 1778, an Englishman, Charles Chapman, who passed here after the Tay Son period, recorded, when coming to Hoi An, this big city is left with not many well-planned neighborhoods with brick houses. Paved road, but only seeing a scene of desolation makes us feel sad. Oh my God, those works are only left in memory now. About 5 years later, the new port of Hoi An gradually revived. Commercial activities were restored, but not as before. The Vietnamese and the Chinese rebuilt the city from the old ruins. New houses sprang up according to their architecture, and inadvertently, the traces of the Japanese quarter were erased forever. In the 19th century, the mouth of Kua Dai River was increasingly narrowed, and the Coco River was also filled with alluvium, making it impossible for large boats to call at Hoi An port. In addition, the Nguyen court also implemented a closed-door policy limiting relations with foreign countries, especially Western countries. Since then, Hoi An has gradually declined, losing its position as an important international port. Despite this, as a major commercial center, the city was still developed. New roads south of the river were built and neighborhoods expanded. In the 5th year of Min Mang, the king went to Hoi An, realizing that this place is no longer as crowded as before, but still more prosperous than other towns of the Vietnamese people. In 1888, when Da Nang became a French concession, many Chinese people went there to finance the establishment of transport and trading facilities. Some continued to maintain business activities in both Hoi An and Da Nang, but due to water transportation becoming increasingly difficult, along with the development policy of Da Nang by the French, commercial activities in Hoi An gradually stalled. However, most of the housing architecture in the old quarter, the remaining assembly halls to this day have the shape created from this period. At the beginning of the 20th century, although it lost its important role as a port town, trading activities in Hoi An never ended, and this place is still the town and capital of Quang Nam Province. When Quang Nam, Da Nang Province, was established in 1976, Da Nang City became the provincial capital of the new province. Hoi An fell into a forgotten period. It is thanks to the changing role in history, plus many other factors, that Hoi An was fortunate to avoid the distortion of the intense urbanization process in Vietnam. In the 20th century, since the 1980s, Hoi An began to receive the attention of Vietnamese, Japanese, and Western scholars. At its 23rd session from November 29th to December 4th, 1999 in Marrakesh, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization inscribed Hoi An on the list of World Heritage Sites. Hoi An Ancient Town gradually prospered again thanks to tourism activities.